The New England Patriots and Stefon Diggs agreed to a deal yesterday to bring him in to be the number one receiver for Drake May. And I think to start with, as a Houston Texans fan, I was really hoping that the Texans would bring back Stefon Diggs. I think even though they traded for Christian Kirk, there was my thought process at least was we need to have as many receivers as possible because how we ended last year with our receiving core, Nico Collins missed a big chunk of games. Tank Dell missed, the most important games in the playoffs, and Stefon Diggs was done after week 8. So, my thought process was instead of trying to rely on guys like Xavier Hutchinson and John Mechie, and maybe even a little bit more of Dalton Schultz at the end of the year, let's just rely on really good playmakers. That unfortunately won't be the case. And I am glad that somebody does still value Stefon Diggs because I think he does provide value more than just what he can do from catching the football. I think from the standpoint of he's going to a team with a lot of young players at the receiver position, namely guys like Jalen Polk, Demario Douglas, Javon Baker, and Kayshon Boutte. Those are going to be 4 guys who really need to take to task that their goal needs to be learning from Stefon Diggs and learning from Mac Hollins, who they also signed this year. Especially in Jalen Polk and Javon Baker's standpoint, these were 2 guys who got drafted last year, and Jalen Polk especially drafted in the second round. It was a very disappointing year for those guys. It was a pretty disappointing year for the Patriots in general, offensively, until Drake May starting. But like I said, these guys have a chance to really turn that around and learn from one of the better receivers in the NFL and make themselves into a better receiver themselves. I think now that the draft picks and the signings that we've seen from New England are kind of lining up with each other, New England has done a pretty good job in this offseason of addressing some of their big needs. They needed another corner opposite of Christian Gonzalez. They needed some additional pass rushing, and they got that with Harold Landry. They got Kayvon Chason. They got some decent offensive line pieces in Morgan Moses and Garrett Bradbury. And they got a linebacker in Robert Spillane. I think what you look at now is you look at maybe, with the number 4 pick, yes, there's going to be guys like Travis Hunter. There's probably going to be a guy like Will Johnson. If you luck out and Abdul Carter is there at number 4, maybe if New York and Cleveland, Tennessee and Cleveland go quarterback 1 and 2, and then New York decides they want to take a chance on somebody that's a offensive playmaker, and Abdul Carter is there at number 4 for the New England Patriots, I think you have the most grand slam perfect offseason you could have ever dreamed of, because now you have a playmaker on each side of the ball that's going to be on a rookie contract that has a chance to be a game changer. Abdul Carter, how he can play both rushing the passer, playing against the run, and even playing in pass coverage 10 to 20 snaps a game, he has a chance to be one of the ultimate playmakers in the NFL if everything goes right. And I think the New England Patriots are one of those teams where everything could go right. And I almost would even think, let's just trade up with the Giants. Let's just swap them picks. If Abdul Carter is available at 3, but I don't know if New York would even take Abdul Carter. They already got Toto. They already got Dexter Lawrence. They already got Brian Burns. They have a lot of money invested in pass rush. So I don't know if the Giants would really even consider taking Abdul Carter. So, the Patriots are just in a perfect position for the draft and for the rest of this free agency. I don't know if they're done. They've had some pretty big contracts handed out. Between Milton Williams, Stefon Diggs, and Carlton Davis. Between just those 3 players, they gave out over $200 million in terms of contract value. and well over $100 million in terms of guaranteed money. And it's interesting to see what they do to finish this offseason off.